Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am here today with my first layout using my September for the Love of Homemade Kits stash kit. And this is a series that I am working on with Megan, Felicia, Hannah, and now we are adding in for this month, Sarah. And basically, the idea, if you're not familiar with it, is we use a common recipe and an inspiration piece to create a stash kit. And then throughout the month, every week, we show you a layout we have created using those goodies that we put into our kit. So today, I am working on this photo of hippo cookies, and these are the famous hippo cookies from Balboa Island in California. And so this has become a really important tradition for my kids. Every time we talk about Newport Beach or Balboa, the very first thing you will hear them talk about is these really bright, fun, happy hippo cookies. And so this is a layout about that kind of simple thing that has become a tradition for my kids and for my family. And so right now you see I'm just creating a bunch of layers behind my photo. So I have pulled out my 6x6 paper pad from Amy Tan, and this is her Better Together collection. And I just created a bunch of different layers behind that photo, and I used the black cardstock in the very bottom base to make it stand out. And then I went ahead and pulled out some of the ephemera pack. So the Brilliant, Unbelievable, and Really pieces are all parts of that ephemera pack that was the inspiration piece. And then I also pulled out a couple of the Project Life cards. And you see right now I'm adding the notebook paper border because that's going to be where my journaling goes, down in the corner. And I have also taken a second Project Life card and cut it into a square to fit in that bottom left-hand corner. So that pink stripe was a Project Life card. And then I also took the rounded edge of that Project Life card and tucked it in behind the top of my photo. So you can see it up there, and I'm going to do some stamping on that in just a little bit. So that's two really good ways to incorporate those Project Life cards into your layout. So one, I've created a journaling box down on the bottom, and adding that notebook paper edging just makes it a little bit different. And then I've also used some of the striped pattern just to fill one of those boxes, and it's going to be a home for some stamping that I'm going to do, both on the top of the photo and in that bottom left. So right now I've pulled out those little puffy stickers from Dear Lizzie's new Saturday collection, and I added some of those little hearts, and I am going to come back to that pack and add some more. And here you see I'm pulling out my stamps. So this is my Allie Edwards Wild Story Stamp set that I'm using today. So the bottom one just says Super Good Times, and then it's kind of hard to see, but across that top banner I have stamped, there's a little teeny tiny stamp that says Saying Yes. And so I've just stamped that 3 different times across that top little tab. And then I'm putting this stamp also in that top right hand corner, and it says Let Our Hearts Be Wild Forever and Ever and Ever. And then you see I've gone back and I'm working on my title. So I've pulled out those Amy Tan Calberteschi letters to spell out the big word hippo. And then I actually had to go to my stash to find these little Tim Holtz word stickers, and that I just added to my title to say For the Love of. So that wasn't in my original kit. I went back to my stash and pulled those out. And it's funny because in all my other kits, if you've been watching, I always say I have to have my word stickers. I don't know what I would do if I don't have those in my kit. And I didn't put them in this kit, so of course I had to go back to my stash and pull them out anyway. So now back to my kit, I went ahead and pulled some of those enamel dots, and I'm adding those in 3 different places. So 2 spots on the tabs around my photo, and then 1 up by that Brilliant. The reason I picked that one to add them to is because it did have a little hole for the tag, so I just covered that up. And I thought I was going to be done, but then I came back and wanted to add a few more details. So I pulled some of these little stars from the Calberteschi foam thickers, and I'm adding those in 2 different boxes just to create that visual triangle with the black foam thickers. And then I pulled out one of these little wood veneers from that Maggie Holmes Shine collection, and I'm putting it just behind that little Unbelievable. And then I'm going to try and make this banner work, and it's just not going to happen for me. I keep trying and playing with it, and you see there I'm like, where can this go? And it doesn't make it on the layout. And so I go back to my foam stickers, and I go ahead and add a little heart up there. And then I'm also going to add, there's a little plus sign, but I'm going to make it into an X and add it in the bottom left-hand corner by that Super Good Times. Because it kind of makes it look like a little clipboard down there, and I really liked that little detail. And then my journaling in the bottom corner just says, if anyone even mentions Balboa, we all yell Hippo cookies. It's funny how such a small thing can become such a big tradition in memory of our summers on Newport Beach. And that just really goes with this feeling and this idea that these cookies have become part of our tradition. I do add that little camera foam thicker on the top corner, and that is going to do it for this layout. I kept it kind of simple, but I did show you a couple ways to use those Project Life cards, and I hope you enjoyed this layout and you will feel inspired to play along with us this month. Make sure you check out the other ladies to see what they are creating as well. Happy crafting. Bye!